Hello everyone, how's your life today? Yeah, I hope all of you are doing good. Okay, for the first chapter of this book, I'd like to explain about greeting and introduction. Are you ready? Let's check it out. Well, let's start our lesson today by looking at this conversation. You can also find this conversation on the previous page in leading part. And here, I will not read the conversation for you. I'll just discuss the important points of this conversation. This conversation is about Salma and Rajesh. They are new students and they unintentionally met in a campus. Rajesh is sitting on a bench and Salma is waiting for her friend. Okay, because they are together at the same place and they don't know each other. So Salma starts the conversation by saying, "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" Yeah, this is the common expression that usually used by people to start the conversation by asking question or asking permission. Okay, and then it's continued by Salma introducing herself and asking Rajesh's name. Salma said, "Hi, I'm Salma. What's your name?" And Rajesh answers the Salma's question. "Hi Salma, I'm Rajesh." And then the conversation is going on until Salma's friend's coming. She is Susan. And then Salma introduced Rajesh to Susan and vice versa. Introduce Susan to Rajesh. Okay, Salma said, "Rajesh, have you met Susan? She's my classmate." "Susan, this is Rajesh from Law Study Program." And then the conversation is going on again until Salma asks for permission to end the conversation by saying, "I'd love to talk with you further, but we have to go to the library." And the conversation ends by saying goodbye. Salma said, "It's really nice to meet you." And Rajesh answered, "Nice to meet you too." This is the example of conversation between three students that they just introduced each other, so they don't know each other before. Okay, so in this conversation there are examples of how to start the conversation, how to introduce yourself, how to introduce other, and how to end the conversation. Okay, let's discuss further about this expression on the next slide. The first point is how to start a new conversation. When you are in a public places and you are next to someone that you don't know, sometimes it's considered to be impolite if you just keep sitting quietly. So you have to greet them. Okay, so here I'd like to give you some tips how to start a new conversation. Okay, these are the tips. First, you can start the new conversation by asking question. For example, "Do you know where I can find the lecturer's room?" And the next tips is by borrowing something. Just pretend to borrow something. For example, "Excuse me, do you have a pen?" And then the next tip is by talking about the weather. This is a very common sentence that used by people when they are starting the conversation by talking about the weather. For example, "It's hot here, isn't it?" Okay, and the next tip is just being straightforward. Yeah, but this is rarely used actually, but if you don't know what to say, so you can use these tips, being straightforward. For example, "Hello, my name is blah blah blah. Is it okay if I sit here?" Or, "Sorry, do you mind if I join you?" Something like that. The second point is greeting. Yeah, we usually greet someone on the first time we meet that person on that day. Okay, so we don't need to greet someone every time we meet. Yeah, at least once on the first time we meet on that day. Okay, if you are in a formal situation, for example, in a classroom or in a meeting, you can use formal greeting. And the expression, you can say hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, or how are you today? Yeah, they use today at the end. The expression make the sentence more formal. When you are in less formal situation, you can use this kind of greetings. For example, how is it going? How are things? How are you doing? How's life? How's tricks? What's up? What's new? All right. And to respond the greeting, you can say, I'm good. I'm pretty good. Not bad. A little bit tired. Great, thanks. Very well, thank you. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Okay. The use very and thanks for asking on your sentence makes your expression more formal actually. And the next point is introduction. After you start the conversation, after you break the ice by starting the conversation, or after you greet someone that you don't know before, you can introduce yourself. Okay, to introduce yourself, you can say, hi, I'm Gina, I'm a student. Or, hello, my name's Albert, and you? Or if it's a formal situation, for example, you are presenting something, so you can introduce yourself by saying, let me introduce myself. My name's Carla. Or you can also introduce others to the other person. If it is a formal situation, you can say, let me introduce my colleague, Kasia. Or you can also say, may I introduce my colleague, Olivier? Okay, so if you are in less formal situation, you can just say, this is Kasia. Or, have you met Olivier? But if you are in informal situation, for example, you hang out with friends and then you meet someone that you know, you can say, have you guys met? Or do you two know each other? Okay. Those are the examples of informal introduction. Okay. Yeah, to respond the introduction when there is someone that introduces themselves to you or introduce someone to you, so your response can be, good to meet you. It's nice to meet you. I'm pleased to meet you. Or it's a pleasure to meet you. Okay. After the introduction phase, after you know each other, is it the end? Is that all? No, I guess not. You need to keep the conversation going. So how to keep the conversation going? Okay, I'll explain to you how to keep the conversation going. Okay, the first, you can keep the conversation going by telling about yourself. Yeah, I know it's just for having chit-chat. Okay, for example, actually, work is very stressful, but now I'm looking forward to blah, blah, blah. Or you can say, I had a really good day today because blah, blah, blah. I've just been to blah, blah, blah. By telling about yourself, you give the topic to be discussed. So the conversation will going on and going on and going on. And then the next way to keep the conversation going is by talking about the weather. Yeah, just the same as when you start the new conversation. Talking about the weather is also common to be used to keep the conversation going on. For example, you can say, it's really hot today, isn't it? Or the other example, it's been so wet the last few days. Hopefully it will be brighter this weekend. Okay, the other way is by asking general question. For example, how was your day? How's your day going? How was your weekend? Okay, if you have known the person before, or maybe this person is your friends, your old friends, or your college that you have known them before, so you can ask for specific question because you know their background, right? Okay, so for example, you can ask, how was your trip to Madrid last weekend? So in this context, you know that your friends have been to Madrid last weekend, and then you can ask this question to keep the conversation going. Or you can ask, did you watch the football last night? So in this context, you know that your friends like football, so maybe there was a football match last night, so you can ask this question, did you watch the football last night? Right. If you have something to do and then you need to leave the conversation, here I will give you some tips how to leave the conversation, how to end the conversation. Yeah, you can end the conversation by giving an excuse. For example, sorry, I'd love to talk with you further, but we have to go to the library. This is the example. By giving an excuse that you need to go to the library, so you cannot continue the conversation. Okay, so after you give an excuse, you can say goodbye. Okay, these are some example expressions to say goodbye. This is very simple. The first, bye, bye for now, see you, see ya, see you again, so long, catch you later, ciao, see you around, and ta-ra! Well, that's all my explanation about greeting and introduction. We have learned about how to start a new conversation. We have learned about how to introduce yourself, how to introduce others, and we also have learned about how to keep the conversation going and how to leave the conversation, and the last, how to say goodbye. Okay, thank you for watching this video. You can also read the description under this video, and you can also have more practice on the self-learning part at the end of this book. Thank you very much. See ya!